Hello, friends. Welcome to Marketing a Tiny Bit Smarter. I'm Sarah Noel Block, founder of Tiny Marketing. Before we get started, I have some housekeeping. If you have questions in the middle of the live stream, type them into the comments and we'll get to them at the end. Today, we're going to learn all about how to get your first guest post in a publication. My guest, Ruthie Bowles, founder of Defy the Status Quo, is an all-star at this. I adore her. I collaborate with her and I hire her whenever I can because she's brilliant. She's a brilliant person, organized, and produces really high quality work. I'm always just blown away with it. I wouldn't just consider her a colleague, but a friend too. So welcome to the show, Ruthie. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. I'm like, okay, maybe I can get some of this like LinkedIn Live glitter from you.
Sprinkling. Oh my gosh. Okay. I want you to tell everybody about who you are, but also while doing that, tell me more about your LinkedIn stories. I didn't even know that this existed and now you have access.
Yes, I am so excited. So first things first, yes, authority marketing strategist, that is me. Defy the status quo, company name, because the status quo is mediocrity and I will do pretty much anything to help keep my clients from going off that cliff of mediocrity. So I am a mom to 4. I have 3 boys, 1 girl. Some people may have seen on my LinkedIn feed, I've got some goats, I've got chickens, I've got ducks. I'm an Army veteran and I live in Maryland. And so yes, LinkedIn stories. Last night, I opened LinkedIn to, do my social media thing, just perusing. And I was like, was that at the top? Was that at the top? Oh my goodness!
I opened and I saw you. I saw your story, and that's how I learned that it existed at all.
Right. And I tagged you because my very first story was like, hey, I'm going live with Sarah tomorrow. Whoop, whoop. And then I saw that I had the ability to mention you and tag you in the stories. So I was like, this is great. So for me, LinkedIn has been my best platform in terms of I'm not sure what it is, why LinkedIn is so good for me, but it is. And I'm like, man, I feel like I'm pretty good at this short form video thing. I've been, getting savvy on TikTok and I repost them. I repost them here on LinkedIn and everybody on LinkedIn is like, this is so funny. And I like to repost and I like to do stories on Instagram, but Instagram, I just get spammed by a bunch of people. So I was like, so just being able to get an opportunity to practice my story skills on LinkedIn where I feel like I have real people in my network who actually, pay attention is just very exciting.
Yeah, it's definitely where your people are. You have a great community on LinkedIn.
Yes.
You're so good at those TikTok stories.
Thank you. And I think so far, probably one of my best tips so far, and I think if more people start to use it, this will become more valuable. It is a great way to start conversations with people who are in your network that maybe you haven't talked to in a while. Because if they post a story, then you can go comment on it. You can do anything. And if they respond to one of your stories and you haven't heard from them in a while, then that is literally the start of your conversation. Boom.
Is it set up the same way as Instagram where if you comment, it's a direct message so then you can start that conversation? Yeah, that is really nice.
Yeah, because I think last night you gave me clappy hands.
Yes, I did.
And it popped up in our DM line.
Oh, that's fun. Do you have to be on your phone to be able to see the LinkedIn stories?
Yes, I was not able to see them on my computer. I could only see them on my phone. And then I'm trying to remember, was it you who posted about the LinkedIn update besides stories? Was that you earlier?
Not me.
Okay, well, somebody shared it. And also we can now send video messages that we can record right in the DMs. They're short, just like in Facebook, but you can hit like video and send that in your DMs versus just a voice message, which I'm also.
Oh, that's cool. I dig that.
Yeah. Okay. The only thing I need is for LinkedIn to do I need a lot of things, but I want LinkedIn to do the video comments. I have been using the video comments feature on Facebook and Facebook groups, and and I've been getting really good feedback from it in terms of people seeing one video comment and being like, oh, and then they keep seeing me pop up, my face pop up in all of these different comments, and people like it. I'm like, that, and it helps me comment and respond faster while still, you know, being myself.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. And it shows like you're a real person. People can see, like, get to know you a little bit better with video.
Yeah.
Okay. So can you tell me how would you describe authority marketing?
So authority marketing is content marketing with a blend of PR into it. And so the way that I do it, it's content marketing and a sprinkle of online PR, probably more than a sprinkle. I don't have a traditional media background. I have friends who do, but it's just not my background. And so from what I've seen, it's pretty hard to break into. But online PR, new media, new digital PR is a lot easier for people who don't have like a journalism background to get into. I found that that's easier to do because that's connecting with event organizers, connecting with podcast hosts or video show hosts. And because a lot of those same people, a lot of the event organizers and any show host, a lot of them don't have a journalism background either. So it matters a lot less to them. So I feel like I have more in common with those people than I do with like traditional media people. So that's why I usually say online PR.
Yeah, that makes sense. And they're always looking for experts to contribute. So it's like the perfect relationship. I feel like it's a lot of
add a teeny bit more there. Authority marketing, you market your authority with the purpose of increasing visibility, increasing credibility, so people feel like they know, like, and trust you, usually before they even talk to you. So that part is important too. So there's what authority marketing is, but really like the goals and the intent.
Oh, you cut out for a second.
Oops.
Now you're not.
Okay.
What was that last bit? Just
I was saying that authority marketing, it's that content marketing and PR piece. And for some people, it includes authorship. And I'm working on that piece myself. But then there's also the intent behind it, which is that increased visibility, increased credibility, building the know, like, and trust.
Yes. So I follow along with your content all the time. And I've seen that you talk about HARO a lot as like the first step to build that authority marketing. Can you tell me how to craft that pitch to HARO, or what HARO is, if for people who don't know what it is?
Yeah. So we'll start there. Help a reporter out .net. So that's the acronym is HARO, but the full, like the URL is like helpareporterout.net, I believe. You Google search will bring it up for you.
That's right.
But you subscribe as a source, and 3 times a day, they will send you a list of pitch requests, I guess. And they're broken out by category. You can choose to receive specific categories, but I just get all of them because I found that some people will actually put their stuff in the wrong category, and I want to answer it. And what I mean, and sometimes it's in the right category. Like they might ask about being a mom and being an entrepreneur, but they don't put that in the business category. They put it in like the lifestyle category. So if you're only getting the business category, then you're going to miss out on that, right? So that's the first thing. It comes 3 times a day, except for holidays, but they'll warn you. And for me, it's just about picking the ones where I feel like I have the best potential return on investment. When you're just getting started, I think getting almost anything that's relevant to you and the stories that you consistently tell, I think getting almost anything is pretty good. But the more you build up your credibility and kind of your portfolio of these types of responses, the better opportunities you'll be able to get. So sign up. It's free 3 times a day. You can even create a rule and have like a folder, keep it organized. And in terms of crafting the pitch so I've never used HARO because you have to have a certain threshold, but I have set up my Tell Me Something Good newsletter through the summer. And I will tell you that being somebody who's received pitches, some of the worst things are copying and pasting a blog post, like an entire blog post. Like I'm not reading that. Like I asked you a specific question and you sent a whole thing. I'm not reading it. So if you think that you can get away with like a copy paste, just ball that up mentally and throw it away because it's not going to work. What you want to do is you want to pay attention to the question. The questions that are specific that like the more niche the questions are, the better you'll be able to answer them. So if I answer a question about balancing work and life, right? Like, so I like to call it work-life harmony, but the general term is work-life balance. But okay, so I could answer a question about that one. But if the question was like, hey, if you're a mom who's running a business from home and you've got kids in virtual school right now, how are you managing? My response to that is going to stand out. I've got 4 kids.
Yeah, you're like, I've got this.
Virtual school, right? So my response to that is going to stand out more. So I always recommend looking for as niche of requests as you can, because less people are going to respond to it. And then the people who do, you have a better chance of standing out. I like to, I say, hey, I use their name. If they've got their name in there and it's not anonymous, I'll say, hey, so-and-so, and I get right to it. Like, I answer their question. I don't beat around.
How are you?
Yeah, like, no, I just go right into it because they're busy. They're going to get a ton of these. So I go right into it. And like I said, I try not to get too long. If they ask multiple questions, I will break my response up under each question. I will use their question as like outlines. And then I draw a line. I include my bio. I include my links, all of my links. And I include a link to my interviews and features page. And I've actually gotten a podcast or 2 interview off of that because they click on that and they're like, oh, you do podcast interviews. I really liked your response. And that is it. And that lower bottom portion, that is a template. Like, I copy and paste that in every time because it's the same information. And once you get good at it, it doesn't take a long time. So it's just like anything else. It's practice. And the more you do it and you gather that credibility and you build it up. And if you get a history of sharing it, right? So sometimes the same people will request multiple pitches and they remember, oh, she shared this and this was good. Let me go ahead and pull her, like, let's take her pitch again, because I know if I include her in it, she's going to share it. You know, so a lot of people, a lot of writers will remember if you keep responding. Like CEO Blog Nation, I've been in 2 of their articles, and then I also ended up on a podcast interview with Gresham.
All through Harrow?
All
through Harrow?
Well, yeah, that's how we connected. We connected through that first Harrow piece, and then he shared it on LinkedIn. I connected with him, and so we had kind of gone back and forth a little bit. I responded again on Harrow to something, and that was even a smaller list. The first time it was like 25, and the second time it was 13 different business owners. And then he was like, hey, so because you've done, you've responded and we've loved your responses, do you want to be in an interview? I was like, yes, of course. But yeah, just get to the point and then templatize what you can. What is a good idea to templatize? Your links, your short bio, any important things like that, your title, like just create that, copy, paste it, but just make sure that you can be concise when you're developing these answers and don't copy and paste blog posts in there. Like,
it's not gonna work.
It's not going to work. Now, I don't think there's any harm in being like, hey, I've written a blog post about this topic, after you've given them a custom response, and you could link it in there, like say, hey, this is the blog post about this. If it's not against your publication's rules, I would love a link to that. But if not, a link to my site is fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with that because you're leaving it open, but you want to give them that custom response.
And sometimes you don't even know when they chose your pitch. So what do you do to figure out if you were mentioned?
I do a backlink audit. So you can do that with SEMrush, Ahrefs, or however you say the acronym. That's what I say.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Yeah. So
and I say SEMrush. I think I'm the only one.
Yeah, I say SEMrush. But yeah, so a backlink audit really helps because I've been like, oh, look at that new backlink. Okay, that's something to share, and I'll add it to my calendar, and I'll add it to my experts portfolio on my website. But yeah, that's probably the best way, is just to do a backlink audit, maybe like once a month or so. The people who really do it, they will tag you on social media and stuff when they share it. And so that might be the way that you find out as well. So just to keep an eye out. And I've had places tag me like on Twitter, but not tag me anywhere else. So whatever social media handles you give them, make sure that you're checking them.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And like with social media automation, a lot of them won't let you tag on LinkedIn through that. So if they scheduled it on some platform that doesn't let you tag, then they probably just don't even think about it. But
Probably
that's annoying.
not.
I love
And
LinkedIn.
that is so frustrating.
Yeah, it is. Let's see. Okay. So how would you pitch a publication for a guest post if you have never done a guest post before? You've never had a byline before.
So first things first, do not use their contact us form. Don't do it. Don't do it. People keep doing it to me and it's so irritating because I don't have any guest posts on my blog, first of all. So I guess maybe the first thing is to check, right?
Yes.
Check. Right? Check to see if they accept guests. So that's just irritating. I get a ton in my contact us form. Now, ideally, right, in our heads, we're like, oh, I would love to write for this huge HR publication because my specialty is human resources consulting or whatever. But that's probably not going to be your first bet unless there's someone in your network with the hookup. So if that's your idea, then check your network first. If you have a community built in that industry, check your network, because you may be able to use the trust in that relationship to get a spot that would have, been out of reach for, let's say, me, who I'm like, yeah, I could write about this, but I don't have any real connections in there, right? So they may ignore my request, but because let's say somebody in the marketing department at that HR publication, then you kind of scoot your little way in there, and good for you. Like, there's nothing against that at all. So check your network first. But if you're looking for opportunities that are outside of your network, I would say definitely look small first to build momentum and build examples. If you blog already, if you do LinkedIn articles, those can be examples. So don't be like, oh, well, I don't have any, so I don't have any examples. No, they need a demonstration of your writing abilities, right?
Yeah.
And they want to see what you could bring to their publication. So whether it's self-published or you have gotten some smaller opportunities, that is your portfolio. So that's the first thing. You have a portfolio, or you can build one easily, whether it's LinkedIn, whether it's on your own website, whether it's on Medium, there is somewhere for you to post this.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. Don't use the contact us. Connect with them on LinkedIn, connect with them on Instagram, or wherever it is that they're big, where they, have some space, and actually read their publication. Like, read it. Yeah. It's important, because not only will you see if they accept guest posts if you read it, but you will also get an opportunity to see where there are gaps that you could fill. So it's not just, oh, can I write a guest post? Like, I noticed that you wrote about, or somebody in your publication wrote about XYZ 6 months ago. And I think that this particular aspect of it, let's say XYZ squared, would give really good value to your audience. And, you don't necessarily always have to write it out ahead of time, but if you can at least pitch the idea, then they'll be like, yeah, that's what we want. That's a great idea. And that can help you go far, because then they can already start imagining, okay, this is what it would be. But a general pitch, that's just more homework, really. So you want to do as much of the homework up front as you can. And that's a way to tailor the pitch, is just to, hey, like, I could write about XYZ, squared, because you already wrote it.
So you need some strategy to go into it and some research before you head straight into it.
Yeah. And you can do yourself some favors by interacting on social media as well. So that they
build relationships. How would you find what publications accept guest posts? Do you have some sort of trick, hack, whatever, to find what publications actually accept them and which ones would be irritated you sent it?
Yeah, well, probably one of the easiest things to do is to do a Google search for, guest post opportunities plus whatever industry, something like that. You can, switch the words around. That's probably an easy way to do it, because a lot of people have created these long listicle posts that have already brought a lot of the different publications together in terms of like a list where you can kind of run through.
Yeah.
And so that's really good if you've already got a few, kind of guest post opportunities under your belt that you can use and show like, hey, this is what I've done. This is how I was able to adapt to the style, fill the needs of the audience, etc. But that would be my first stop. Whenever I'm looking for something new, I always do a Google search.
Google, my best friend.
Yeah, like somebody else has already done the hard footwork of building out the
Yeah.
list for you. So all you got to do is keep the list, just bookmark it or something and move on.
Yeah. It's so simple that we should have thought about that. Go to Google. So when we're pitching, what should be included in a pitch that would get an editor's attention?
So definitely ideas. Ideas are always helpful. Some people, if they have a long list of like my experts portfolio now is pretty big. And I always include it in my signature block. But if I'm pitching specifically to a podcast or to a publication, I will give them a specific example of my work. Because again, the idea is not to give them a whole ton of homework. So if somebody clicks, if I say, hey, check me out, and they click on my interviews and features page, there's a lot there now. So now it's kind of like, whoa, there's so much to see. If you choose a few links that you think would appeal to them the most, not only are you limiting their homework, you're also helping guide their experience. So their experience is becoming the way that you want it to be. And so you can show them, hey, this opportunity, this guest post that I did is most closely aligned with your publication. So you can get an idea of how this would look. And then for me, I've always had a lot of success adding on why I think I would be a great fit for their audience and how I can help the publication via things like promoting and distributing the article once it's gone live. So now I'm not just saying, hey, I'm so great and that's why you should have me. Here's my value to your audience, which is of the utmost importance to any publication or show or whatever it is. And then here's how I'm going to help you. I tell them I like to be a marketing partner for, the opportunities that I get. And I will share it on all of my social media channels more than once, get the conversation going and help get, you visibility as well. So throwing that in is always, I think, a really nice touch because it shows that you have a plan for after it's written.
Yeah, I think that's huge. They're just trying to get eyes on their publication. So if you can help them. So along with that, would you include then your stats, like a media kit, anything like that to show them the power behind you?
Absolutely. So so I have a link to my media kit in my Hero template. And I usually do include it whenever I'm pitching. If they haven't had me fill out a form, if there's a space for my media kit, I normally do include it. It's like a guest posting capability statement. It's usually 1 to 2 pages, and it's got some examples of what you've done, topics you can talk about, your bio, and a bit about you. So a media kit is a fantastic thing to include because if you're in this space where you're accustomed to getting pitches, a media kit's probably going to be pretty simple. So again, keeping that homework pretty limited. If I open this, it's going to be 1 to 2 pages and it's not going to drown me in information. So it can give people a really good assessment of you and what it is that you're capable of writing about.
So it needs to be like at a glance information.
Yes, for sure. It should be very easy to digest, make use of your headers. So there's a section on mine that's like topics I cover. And I've got 3 main topics and I broke it down into a few subtopics within there, but they're bullet points. It's not these long sentences or anything like that. I keep it very punchy and easy to digest.
So if you have never had a you've never been in a publication before, what should you include in your media kit?
So I think it's always great to include, instead of calling it, places where I've been published, you could always call it like examples of my work or examples of my writing. So you just change the title there and kind of shift the focus. But you can include a lot of the same things. You can include your bio, you can include your areas of expertise, the samples of your work or the writing that you've done. And there's another thing. I'm remembering, it's like a blank spot in my head on my own media kit. Shoot. Yeah, I mean, those are pretty much the basics though. So that's what I would do is, like, once you've been published, then you can change it to places I've been published. But to get started, you could just call it, examples of my work or something like that. I just wouldn't draw attention to it. Like, don't be self-deprecating.
Yeah.
I haven't been
like,
published.
Sorry, I've never been here before.
Yeah. So just own it. And, just, again, if you focus on how you can be a partner to them, that's of more value than being like, because somebody can be published in a bajillion places and then they never share or promote or distribute or whatever. And that's of less value unless you've had somebody like, I don't know, Gary V or something.
Yeah.
So
although I'm sure they would be happy with him promoting.
I mean, I know he's going to, right? But like, if you tag him on LinkedIn, even if he says nothing, a whole bunch of people are going to see it.
Yeah, that's true. I think that point is probably the most important, is that having, like, sharing your promotional strategy when you're pitching an editor is probably what's going to get them to say yes over anything else, even over your expertise. If you're willing to promote it, then they're all over it.
Yeah. And especially in business publications where they're more likely to share on a place like LinkedIn, the power of tagging on LinkedIn, anybody who's spent even a little bit of time on LinkedIn, they know that tagging is like, okay, tagging is how I can really get some eyes on here. And the right way to do it is to do it in an authentic way. Like when we were sharing about the live stream, we tagged each other because that makes sense.
And I think that's probably how we got to know each other in the first place, is we were reading each other's content and then we started tagging each other, like wanting to hear what the other person thought. And that's how we built our relationship.
That is how it started. And so when you do it, like, tagging can be a really friendly thing to do. I have a few people in the nonprofit sector in my network. And when I see something I think is interesting, I'll tag them on the post in a comment, be like, hey, this might be a good idea for you, pass along to your clients or whatever. Like, that can be a really nice strategy and it can help get more eyes on any particular content. But especially on LinkedIn, tagging is really powerful. So even if my network's not huge, your network will see that I shared about you, right? So even if I feel like I'm starting out brand new, that is still true.
Yeah, that's exactly how I started to build my following on LinkedIn, is I would tag relevant people that I'm like, I'm dying to hear what these people think of this topic. And then really, there's a huge difference between the posts where I don't tag anybody or I do. It's like massive in views, the changes.
Yeah, for sure.
We have one question before we wrap up.
Okay.
So right here, how do you decide which digital channels are most appropriate?
Okay.
What do you think?
I think the big thing in terms of like the promotion, I'm assuming he means like the promotion and distribution. I would say that it's because if you're guest posting or doing anything as a guest for another publication, you want to cover two things. You want to cover where your network is the most engaged and most involved, and you want to cover where their network is the most engaged and most involved. So that way it benefits the both of you. And the reason why is because if you do it where you're engaged, where you have that high level of engagement, like, so for me, it's LinkedIn, it gets more views and it gets more site traffic and things like that, which is what the publication wants. But if you do it also where maybe you have less engagement, then that is also an opportunity for you to shout out the publication where they have the highest level of engagement, but also an opportunity to grow your own audience. So if if I work with a publication that's big on Instagram, my network on Instagram is not big. But if I tag them and I'm in there commenting whenever they share my article, then it will help me connect with new people and grow my audience in a space where, you know, it would be considered weak for me. Those are what would be the top priorities for me, where I have the most engagement and where the publication has the most engagement.
That makes sense. So before we wrap up, can you tell everybody how they can work with you?
Absolutely. So probably the best place to start is to just reach out on LinkedIn, or I mean, I'm on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, of course, but LinkedIn is my fave, and we're doing a LinkedIn Live. So if you send me a message, we can certainly talk about what it is that you're looking for in terms of your goals for marketing your authority, and then just scheduling a phone call after that.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
And teaching everybody all about how to get their first guest post. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye. All right, we're going to wrap it up with some final thoughts. So thanks for joining me today. Next week will be a solo show where I will talk to you about how to find that something different to make your business stand out from the crowd. Like, I'm a marketing consultant. There are a bajillion other marketing consultants. What did I do to make myself seem a little bit different? Every single business has this thing. That's what we're going to talk about. And it's going to be tangible, not soft, mushy advice. It'll be get your hands into it, steps to take to find that something that makes you different. And as a reminder, you can work with me in a few different ways. I work with small B2Bs as a virtual marketing director, running everything for you. I work with marketing agencies and small marketing departments to support their content marketing creation. You can join my live streams as a guest. Just go to sarahnoelblock.com/livestream. And last, you can join my monthly marketing challenges where you will learn a new skill and implement it within 4 weeks. To join that and find out when the next one starts, go to sarahnoelblock.com/challenge. And thank you so much for joining me today. Mwah, 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 mwah. Bye.